This includes the antagonism of Islam towards Western values. It is because it is the most violent contestation of this Western globalization today that Islam is today public enemy number one. Those who refuse to understand this will exhaust themselves in an interminable arm-wrestling contest between a universal thought, sure of its power and its good conscience, and an ever-increasing number of irreducible singularities. Excuse me, just a moment. You can ask some question and you can interrupt me, and of course. It seems to be a lecture only because the linguistic problem, because I cannot so improvise so freely. Even in our societies that are thoroughly acculturated to the universal, it's clear that nothing that had been sacrificed to this concept has truly disappeared. It has simply gone underground. What is being played out in reverse today is a so-called progressivist history, a whole evolutionism crystallized around its ultimate end, an end that, moreover, has been completely lost sight of in the meantime. The utopia is nowadays being dislocated, and its profound dislocation is occurring even faster than its forceful consolidation. We are faced with a complex three-way setup: the globalization of exchange, the universality of values, and the singularity of forms. Forms, it is languages, cultures, individuals, character types, but also chance, accident, everything the universal is bound by its own law to reject as exception or anomaly. The situation, however, is changing and is becoming more and more extreme, instead with the ongoing loss of authority and legitimacy experienced by universal values. While they were able to assert themselves as mediating values, they succeeded in integrating singularities or as differences, and within a universal culture of difference. Today, they no longer succeed at this game, because triumphant globalization is leveling out every difference and every value to usher in a perfectly indifferent non-culture. Once the universal has gone, all that is left is an almighty global technostructure faced with singularities that have reverted to the wild and being left to their own devices. The universal has had its day in history, its golden age. Today, faced with an inescapable global order and unconditional globalization on the one hand, and the drift of a stubborn insurrection of singularities on the other hand, concept of freedom, democracy, and human rights cut a pitiful figure, mere ghosts of a lost universal. It's hard to think that they could be reborn from their ashes by the mere play of the political, since the latter, the political, is caught up in the same process of deregulation and has hardly any more basis that it's now left to moral and intellectual authority. The game, however, is not yet played out, even if for universal values all bets are off. While the stakes have risen, globalization is by no means a sure winner. In the face of globalization dissolving and homogenizing power, heterogeneous forces are rising everywhere that are not only different but antagonistic and irreducible. Singularities are what may emerge out of the shattering of the global system. These singularities, however, are neither negative nor positive. They are not an alternative to the global order. They are on a different scale. Being no longer subject to a value judgment, they can be either the best of the worst or the worst. The sole absolute benefit they provide is to break the shackles of totality. They cannot be federated in a single coherent historical move. They are the despair of every single-minded and dominating thought. However, they are not a single-minded counter-thought either. They invent their own rules of the game. Their most likely fate is that of heresies, that is to say, to be eradicated by the global orthodoxy. I would say in the end that is what the Fourth World War will be about. It will be the first and only truly world war, since its stakes are globalization itself. Then we shall after that speak about these singularities, if you want, of course, and after your questions. Among the singularities there will be economic ones. There can be any different models of economic, political economy, and so on. There can be culture, there can be terrorism, and so on. But we will come to this topic after that. Well, I apologize for this discourse. Maybe some way rigid, but it was an introduction. Yeah. And now I would like to hear about that from you, or from the text you